You also, in identifying the beliefs of what your group believes in, you need to identify a command structure. Who's in charge, and then who are the subordinates to them. Basically, just like a military. Okay, and there's a reason why the military works well like this, and that's because of this command and control structure. So, it may be that the person who owns the property is the one in control. It may not be. It just depends. But the leader of this group needs to have um, a pretty strong fiber. They need to be able to not only be in command, but to take charge. And that means making decisions that are difficult decisions to make. And sometimes it's in the split of, in a split second, in the blink of an eye. You need to be able to decide, hey, you go do this, you go do that. All of these are things that have to be done. And being a commander is not the easiest job in the world. I know from past experience, but if you identify this leader and they are unable to lead, you're going to have problems because people are going to start to waver. They're going to start to break into little groups, as we were talking about just a second ago. So they need to have somebody who's in charge, who is going to be able to take charge, and that everybody's going to respect, okay, and respect what they do and what they say. This is something that needs to be identified before something happens, okay? You do not want to do this under stress in a situation that something is already happening, okay? Because you're not going to be thinking rationally, and the logic that you would use now, sitting, talking about it, discussing it, is not the logic that's going to come out once the event has already occurred, okay? Being able to communicate with other people is going to be critical. And in fact, a friend and I was just talking about this, Eve, how are they going to talk to their group? And then if for some reason they have to link up with another group, how would they talk to them? What frequencies, what channels, what gear, whether it's a CB or a ham radio or smoke signals, whatever it is that you're going to use, you need to identify that, and that needs to be in this plan, and then everybody has a copy of the plan so that everybody knows. Now, one thing that I've talked about before, I'm not sure if we've addressed in this, I'm pretty sure I have because it's something I always probably talk about when it comes to plans. As you can see, the things that we are putting in this plan is very detailed. It basically tells everything that we possibly could do, will do, should do, what we have, where it's at. All of these are different. These are all things that we don't want anybody that's outside of our group to know what's going on, okay? So each of these plans has to be, basically kept secure, okay? And, you can use the military vernacular, top secret, whatever the top classification you want to put, but essentially these plans should not fall into the hands of somebody else, okay? Especially this section, because this is how you are going to be able to communicate. And, like for an example of frequencies and call signs with the CB, most CBs nowadays are 40 channels. So you have a list 1 through 40, and then you randomly identify channels and frequencies in the second column. So if you're on there and on the CB talking to somebody and they say, somebody breaks in and say, hey, what are you doing? Where are you at? The two who are part of the same group can say, let's change to channel number 10. Now, channel number 10 maybe channel, 23, okay? Um, the person that broke in on you won't be able to, I mean, they'll eventually probably figure it out. But if I say go to channel 10 on a CB, that typically means I go to channel number 10, not number channel 23. But because I have this call sign thing going on, I know, or this frequency, this channel list, if I tell the other person, hey, go channel number 10, they know that it's channel 23. They're going to go to channel 23. The person who broke in on you is probably going to turn to channel 10. And then they're going to wonder why you're not there. Now, CBs are difficult because they are, in the open, and anybody with a CB can get in on that frequency. But there are ways that you can talk that others won't know. There are codes that you can identify that only you guys know. Okay. Now, the military, there's the international code. A is Alpha, B is Bravo, C is Charlie, et cetera, and a lot of people already know that. So if I'm talking on a CB and I don't want to let somebody else know, I may change those letters to something different. So for example, C may become gamma now, okay? And so G would equal C, etc. So there are ways that you can do that, and you can actually talk to others outside the group. Then you may want to talk to, make contact with another group that is not privy to your your challenge and password. There may be another group that's just like you that will make your group stronger. So how do you talk to those folks, and who's going to go talk to them folks? Okay. But signal is something that you need to think about. The other part that you need to think about is the challenge and password. So you have people going outside of your perimeter, hunting, fishing, gathering wood, whatever, and then they come back. Now, the small group, or a small enough group, especially a family group, you're probably going to know what they, who they are, and just let them in, right? Well, if, for example, they're outside the perimeter and somebody finds them, and then they bring them back and they want to basically get into your camp to raise a ruckus. If you have a challenge and password, one of those is kind of a, what's the word I'm talking about? A situation where they are in duress. That's the word I was looking for. So basically, somebody's behind them with a rifle or pistol on the person that's coming in the perimeter. They can say, the duress word, and the alerts the folks on the perimeter that something is not right, that something is wrong out there, and they can take appropriate actions. That's one of the things that this does. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And that's going to be that would be a whole different class. So, but have some kind of a duress word that if I mention it, or the person that's on the perimeter, the guard that is allowing the person in, is named Charlie, and I say, hey Dwight, I need you to, I need to talk to John, one of the other people in there. Because you've called him by the wrong name, that person would then know that something's up. Okay, but they only know that something's up if that has been identified previously in the challenge and password. That's how to prevent infiltration. The other thing is with this is a password where, you can have like a running password, which is usually a number, and the number is like 10, and I say 5, then the other one would be 5. Okay, it usually equals the number that or however you decide it. Okay, it may be that the number is 10, but it's actually supposed to be, equal to a one more than that. So let's see if I can explain this right. So you put in the challenge